40-3 is the final score as the Minnesota Vikings fall to the Dallas Cowboys here at US Bank Stadium. Welcome to Between the Lines, fueled by Gatorade. My name is Gabe Henderson. His name is Ben Leber. And Ben, 40-3, 37-point differential is the worst loss in franchise history for this Minnesota Vikings team. But to add on to that, this Minnesota Vikings offense didn't score a touchdown. The first time they didn't score a touchdown since 2016. What did you not see from the Minnesota Vikings offensive committee today?
Well, what I saw early on was missed opportunities.
Okay.
You know, I thought that we had the right game plan, especially running the football. You go back and watch the Dallas-Green Bay game, and Green Bay really, had some yards, especially with Aaron Jones on the outside, running around the perimeter. They got big with Dillon kind of running downhill, but they were getting some chunk yardage testing this Dallas defense around the corner. I thought we were trying to do that early parts of the game with some success. We get down to the end zone, and Hawkinson looks like he just flat out dropped what was a great pass and a great setup in the back corner of the end zone. So early in the football game, even though
two drops there.
And he had two drops. He had another drop later on, but a drop for 6 points, I think at that moment right there kind of changes maybe the butterfly effect of how this game plays out. But nonetheless, he dropped the ball, another missed opportunity, and then from there, it was just absolute domination by them up front. I mean, they only rushed four for the most of the time, and their four-man rush was better than our five-man protection, and that's never good enough, especially consistently throughout the whole game.
And I think the fact that Christian Darrisaw went down also added fuel to the fire. Kirk Cousins sacked 7 times today, the most in his career. He was sacked, I guess, 4 times in his career. But you look at the offensive line unit and you say, okay, where do you get better? Ben, where do you start?
Well, I mean, sometimes it's just an anchor. Our best player on the offensive line, Christian Darrisaw, I think it's pretty evident he was not completely 100% back from the concussion that he suffered against Buffalo. But we don't see him getting bull rushed like that. We don't see him getting out physicaled. So I do think that there was something lingering going on with him. Outside of that, like up front, physicality, we just couldn't match up. They did run some inside twists and they got to our edges a little bit. That's going to happen. So sometimes you can look back at the film and say, okay, we're going to technically clean some things up. Maybe it's a communication issue. Maybe it's a recognition issue. But when it just seems like they were just more physical than us, that's a hard thing to correct because it's not like you can just ask these guys to get stronger in the next week. I think, you look at it, it might have just been a bad matchup. Yeah.
I was writing a key stat down early in today's game because I felt like we were in third down a lot. We weren't converting our third downs, and they were. They were 11 of 15, 12 of 17 on third down. We were 1 of 11. But our third downs, we averaged 3rd and 11.
Yeah.
And their third downs, they averaged 3rd and 5. They averaged 11 yards to gain on every third down. We averaged, I believe we averaged 3. So when you look at that, what does that show you? Like, what does that show you when you look at a stat like that for third down?
Well, it tells you that we're not doing a very good job on first and second down, first of all. And then we had too many penalties, especially later on in the game. And then defensively, I mean, they were getting chunk yardage on first and second down. And I'm glad that you had that stat thrown out there because it seemed like, I didn't have the number in my head, but I was like, man, here they are, 3rd and 2 again, 3rd and 1 again. Those are easy conversions, especially when you have a big back like Zeke Elliott. Our defense, just like our offense, our defensive line, they just got flat out handed to them. They were getting pushed around. Their double teams offensively were effective, kind of getting our guys pushed back in our linebackers' lap. We couldn't kind of like see around them. We were caught in the trash. Our vision was obstructed. So whenever they had a cutback or they, were wiggling around in there, we just couldn't see him, and they were finding lanes and we weren't. If they had the zone blocking, we were kind of getting washed down. They were finding seams there. So, defensive line, they got pushed around as much as our offensive line did.
Yeah. One thing I've noticed this year, I don't know if there's a stat for it, but we haven't given up many explosive pass plays. When I talk about explosive pass plays, I'm talking about touchdowns that go for over 20 yards in the air.
Yeah.
We gave up 2 of those today to Tony Pollard.
Yeah.
What did you see on those 2 plays that really stood out?
Well, I think the first one, in my estimation, I haven't really looked at the all 22 yet, and, but it looked like to me that we were just in a standard cover 2, meaning that Patrick Peterson and those corners on the outside, they have flat responsibility. You're supposed to, there's different techniques as far as jamming and riding that number 1 receiver, but it looked like he almost kind of rode him down too far, covered him like man-to-man, and was probably, 10 yards, 15 yards inside.
Okay.
And then as the back kind of leaked out, he didn't play with very good eyes, and there was Pollard, and then he had a bad angle to get him. You know, the second one, I got to give a lot of credit to Dak. It looked like we were in two-man coverage. You know, we were shown two high safeties, similar to what we always do, except we were playing man coverage underneath.
Okay.
Dak took a step back. He recognized it, started barking out some orders, got everybody on the same page, and then it was just a little bit of a stutter by Pollard when he got out in the middle part of the defense. You know, it's a hard thing for a linebacker to play man coverage against the back when you're not hugged up against him on the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
When he has 10 yards to make a move on you, and you got the quickness of Pollard, you know, it's one of those things like good for them, man.
Yeah,
like it's like
you win some, you lose some.
Yeah, they saw what we were doing. He checked out of it, put us on a bad matchup. Pollard made the play, we didn't, and there he goes, hitting his head on the goalpost.
Yeah, that 30-yard touchdown before the end of the first half to Pollard, that touchdown pass was kind of deflating. And then you come out in the second half. Of course, we didn't get the ball, and we're like, okay, we get one stop, we should be good to go. We give up a 68-yard touchdown to Tony Pollard. Also, you made a good point in the fourth quarter on the Vikings radio network earlier, and I'm gonna close it with this. You said embarrassment can be motivating.
Yeah.
What did you mean by that?
Well, you know, we were kind of debating, you know, on air. It's like, is this one of those games where you just take a few clips and you just have the guys watch just a few clips, or do you make them watch the whole game? And, you know, I do think that at times, you know, to make these players, you know, kind of wallow in this embarrassment of like, I got to watch every snap of us getting pushed back and getting beat at the line of scrimmage, getting out physicaled. It just does something to you internally of like, I never want that to happen again. And so I do think that in healthy situations, embarrassment can be motivating. And maybe that's what some of these guys need, is just to like, okay, acknowledge the fact they got kicked in the mouth, but also acknowledge the fact that, hey, we have a great opportunity to come back here in a couple days. We don't have to wait a full week. We're going to wait just a couple days, get back on the field, and I'm going to prove to myself, my teammates, and all the fan base that team that they saw against Dallas is not who we are. And they have a good chance to go out there and prove that against the Patriots.
I've seen this Vikings team do it. Last year, we lost to the Detroit Lions at the Detroit Lions. They had not won a game, and then it just felt deflating. We come back here on Thursday Night Football against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the offense lights it up. I'm hoping we see that similar type of feel this upcoming Thursday against the New England Patriots, because we need it. The Buffalo Bill hangover is over. Now we feast on Thanksgiving Day against the New England Patriots. Ben, thank you again, as always. For Ben Leber, Ryan O'Neill, my name is Gabe Henderson. Thank you again for tuning into another edition of Between the Lines, fueled by Gatorade.